Jeffery Epstein, a name that has become infamously synonymous with the horrible subject of pedophilia. Currently, our news feeds and TV screens are plagued by rumors and theories of secret cults that indulge in this disgusting practice. But how true are those rumors? Did Jeffrey Epstein own an island dedicated to satiating the cravings of sexual predators? Are missing people being bought and sold through the online furniture store known as Wayfair? Did Jeffrey Epstein really commit suicide? In today's episode, we're going to analyze the stories, share the details, and separate fact from fiction in this incredibly uncomfortable and truly disturbing episode of Tipplers 2 Cents. Please prepare yourself and listen with caution. Welcome everyone to episode 7 of Tipplers 2 Cents. I'm Chris Walters, and joining me as always is my brother, co-host, and elegance incarnate, Sean Knox.
Hey, what's up guys? How you doing? Chris, did you know that kangaroos have 2 to 3 pussies?
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's because I guess the males have like pronged penises, so they have to have 2 pussies. So that's information you guys probably didn't want to know.
No, I didn't want to know. All right, thank you guys for tuning in once again, and especially thank you if you're a new listener for joining us. Welcome to the family. If you guys would like to support the show, always remember that you can purchase some shirts from our website. Well, not our website, but a merch website at represent.com/store/tipplers2cents. Now, Sean, do we have any updates for our listeners?
Just one. Brett Meeks messaged us about doing an episode on the CIA and MK Ultra, and I'm not gonna lie, that's actually a really fucking good idea. So we're probably gonna put that in this season. Probably not the next couple episodes because we have some stuff planned, but definitely within this season. And we're already almost halfway through the season.
Yeah, we're getting there. And yeah, actually, that's not the first time that we've been asked to cover that subject, so we're definitely going to do it. So if you guys are interested in hearing about the CIA and the MK Ultra, all that stuff, we're definitely doing it. But yeah, just not like next episode or anything. It'll be in a couple episodes. But anyway, let's go ahead and let everybody know what we're drinking today. Today, I am going to be drinking some Sierra Nevada IPA and following that up with some Jameson. Sean, what are you drinking today?
I'm drinking 805. I think it's a malt liquor. I'm not sure. But yeah, I don't know. It's pretty good. I just wanted to change it up because I know you're going to give me shit if I brought my fucking whiskey here.
Yeah.
We're actually out of town, out of our my hometown. We're visiting some family, so I didn't have a choice but to fucking get something new.
Yeah, which is good. But I just realized we also forgot to mention as an update that we are having Crystal Dawn or Pezza doing our social media stuff. So from now on, she's going to be handling that, and you'll start seeing us having a little bit more of a social media presence because we've been kind of slacking on that. So we've kind of having her take that on, so that way we, do a little bit more, and you guys can interact with us a little bit more, and that way we can also focus on, getting the next episode finished. But anyway, let's go ahead and toast as we usually do. I'm going to crack this open first. And today's toast, following today's subject, is going to be a toast to parents, because me and Sean both know how difficult it can be to be a parent. Mm-hmm. And, what it entails. It takes a lot of love, a lot of care, and just a lot of emotional attachment to be a parent. And, listening to a subject like today, it's going to be a rough one, you guys, especially if you're a parent. We're going to be talking about really rough things. So toast to you guys who are parents out there, and cheers.
Cheers.
Ah, delicious.
Yeah, that's not bad. You want to try mine?
Yeah, actually. Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Well, all right, guys. Now that we got the toast out of the way, let's go ahead and move on to today's subjects. So we're going to start off by talking about pedophilia. Pedophilia, as defined by Merriam-Webster, is a sexual perversion in which children are the preferred sexual object, specifically and/or a psychiatric disorder in which an adult has sexual fantasies about or engages in sexual acts with a prepubescent child.
Mhm.
Absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
Now, we want to delve into the word itself a little bit further because there is, of course, some diversity in how people view pedophiles nowadays, as bizarre as that sounds.
Yeah.
As parents, me and Sean both agree that pedophiles should just be fucking castrated and curb stomped, and burned, any sort of way that you can just harm this person, by the families that have been hurt by these people. But in a very hard attempt to be unbiased, let's go ahead and hear out the opposing view. Pedophilia is an ongoing sexual attraction to prepubescent children, as we said before, but it is considered a paraphilia, which is a condition in which a person's sexual arousal and gratification depends on fantasizing about and engaging in sexual behavior that is atypical and extreme. Pedophilia is defined as recurrent and intense sexually arousing fantasies, sexual urges, or behaviors involving sexual activity with prepubescent children, generally aged 13 years or younger, over a period of at least 6 months. Pedophiles are often men and can be attracted to either or both sexes. How well they relate to adults of the same or opposite sex varies. Pedophilic disorder can be diagnosed in people who are willing to disclose this paraphilia, as well as in people who deny any sexual attraction to children, but demonstrate objective evidence of pedophilia.
Mm-hmm.
For the condition to be diagnosed, an individual must either act on those sexual urges or experience significant distress or interpersonal difficulty as a result of their urges or fantasies. Without these two criteria, a person may have pedophilic sexual orientation, but not pedophilic disorder. The prevalence of pedophilic disorder is unknown, but the highest possible prevalence in the male population is theorized to be approximately 3 to 5%, which is way too many.
Yeah. Anything above 0 is fucking way too
anything
many.
above 0 is fucking disgusting. An estimated 20% of American children have been sexually molested. Again, way too fucking much. Making pedophilia a common paraphilia. Offenders are usually family friends or relatives. I think everybody has an experience of where they've heard of such thing, or maybe, unfortunately have had that kind of thing happen within their family.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've had it happen within my family very much, but, we've had, heard about that kind of stuff happening. It sucks. Types of activities vary and may include just looking at a child, undressing, or even going as far as to touch a child. However, acts often involve oral sex or touching of genitals, or, being that of the child or the offender. Studies suggest that children who feel uncared for or lonely may be at higher risk of sexual abuse. So please, for the love of God, pay attention to your children. Don't let them fall victim to this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with that in mind, as we were mentioning, people consider pedophilia to be just that, a mental condition that can't be helped. However, some people view it in a way that infuriates me. That way, being, is viewed as more of a sexual orientation that is misunderstood. This is honestly just a huge slap in the fucking face of the LGBTQ community, in my opinion, and Sean's opinion, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
The LGBTQ community is one of the consenting adults who fought for the right to love one another, and they're still fighting for acceptance into society as a whole. Like, they're fighting an uphill battle right now. A lot of people are opposed to a lot of things they stand for, and people that bringing up stuff like this is just, it's unacceptable, because the couples that would be those of predatory adults and non-consenting children, like that, it's not the same fucking thing. And even if there were children that were consenting, like, say they were 14 or 15, they're obviously being manipulated by these adults. So, and of course, by law, you can't fucking consent until you're 18 years of age, at least in the U.S. So, we can all kind of agree that a teenager's alleged consent just doesn't mean shit.
Yeah.
And if we're going to be honest here too, we can also admit that when you're a teenager, you don't really make a lot of good decisions.
Yeah.
If I would have stuck with a lot of the things that I thought were a good choice when I was a teenager, especially like 14, 15, would have been horrible choices.
Yeah, just even the way we talk, like there's no necessary like bad intent in the way that we do things, but it's just it always comes off as fucking stupid. And that's a good thing about like teenagers and shit. Like nowadays, like I don't really go for like cancel culture and stuff like that in certain aspects, but the goal of it overall is still good because they just want to like fucking draw out and get rid of all the negative influences and influencers. They want to fucking get rid of these people that are terrible and shit like that. They have overall a good moral code. It just, of course, is diluted with shit like, them just doing it for attention and stuff like that. But either way, it's still a good message. So, but I'm just glad to say that this next generation is looking good as far as morality is concerned.
Yeah, looks like we're starting to be more understanding of each other, but in some ways, like we were talking about just now, hopefully we're not going to be a little too understanding.
Yeah.
But anyways, let's go ahead and move on to the person that's probably the most infamous sexual predator of our time. And that person is Jeffrey Epstein. So, Sean, why don't you go ahead and let everybody know what Jeffrey Epstein was all about. I'm going to take a drink real quick.
Right. So, Jeffrey Edward Epstein, born January 20th, 1953, and died August 10th, 2019, was an American financier, socialite, and convicted sex offender. He began his professional life as a teacher, but then switched to banking and the finance sector in various roles. Working at Bear Stearns before forming his own firm, he developed an elite social circle and procured many women, including underage girls, who were then sexually abused by Epstein and some of his contacts. In 2005, police in Palm Beach, Florida, began investigating Epstein after a parent complained that he had sexually abused her 14-year-old daughter. Excuse me. Epstein pleaded guilty and was convicted in 2008 by a Florida state court of procuring an underage girl for prostitution and of soliciting a prostitute. He served almost 13 months in custody. Fucking bullshit.
Yeah, that's it.
So served only 13 months in custody, but with an extensive work release. So, Jesus fuck. He was convicted of only these two crimes as part of a controversial plea deal. Federal officials had identified 36 girls, some as young as 14 years old,
Jesus, man,
whom Epstein had allegedly sexually abused. Epstein was arrested again on July 6, 2019, on federal charges for the sex trafficking of minors in Florida and New York. Epstein was found dead in his federal jail cell at Manhattan Metropolis Correctional Center, otherwise known as MCC, and the medical examiner ruled the death as a suicide. Epstein's lawyers has disputed the ruling, of course, and there has been significant public skepticism about the true cause of his death, which fucking anybody who has a pulse knows exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. The whole Epstein didn't kill himself meme, which honestly, I can't even say it's really a meme.
It's like it is, but it isn't. Really, it's just us trying to keep the
relevance. Yeah,
keep it alive, keep that idea alive that we fucking know that this guy didn't kill himself.
Mm.
We fucking know that.
Yeah, so the New York City Medical Examiner's office ruled Epstein's death a suicide by hanging, but a forensic pathologist who observed the 4-hour autopsy on behalf of Epstein's brother Mark made a statement that the evidence released so far points more to murder than suicide in his view. Dr. Michael Baden, key reason, the unusual fractures he saw in Epstein's neck. And yeah, there's no fucking way he killed himself, because check this shit. Epstein was directing money to be deposited in other inmates' commissary accounts in exchange for protection. Sources say because he feared for his life. But the government says Epstein was suicidal and made his first failed suicide attempt after weeks after he arrived at MCC. According to the federal indictment, on July 23rd, Epstein was found on the floor of his cell with a strip of bedsheet around his neck. The government said it was a failed suicide attempt. Fucking horseshit.
Yeah.
But Epstein claimed his cellmate, 52-year-old former police officer Nick Tartaglione, attacked him. Tartaglione, who is accused of murdering 4 men, denied that, and his lawyer said absolutely nothing like that happened. His lawyer also says that Tartaglione was cleared by jail officials. Epstein was put on suicide watch after the incident, but 1 week later, as at the direction of MCC's psychological staff, he was taken off suicide watch and required to have an assigned cellmate. Cameron Lindsay, a former federal warden and prison consultant, said that this was a monumental failure on all levels. No shit. Epstein was moved back to his old unit and assigned a new cellmate. The night before his death, Epstein's cellmate was released. Jesus fuck. According to court documents, no new cellmate was assigned before he died, and even though he was required to have one, that night federal prosecutors say Epstein was escorted into his cell by Tova Noel at approximately 7:49 p.m. Noel and Michael Thomas, the 2 guards who were working the overnight shift in Epstein's unit, allegedly didn't check on him again until shortly after 6:30 a.m. the next morning. The 2 guards have been charged with falsifying documents and conspiracy to defraud the federal government. Fucking good. And both have pleaded not guilty. Cameron Lindsay said the guards should have been checking on Epstein every half hour.
Yeah, that's where I'm confused. Like, they didn't check on him until after 6:30 a.m. and it said, what, 7:49 was when they escorted him to his cell?
Mm-hmm.
Why the fuck didn't they check on him for so fucking long?
Yeah,
like, what kind of guards are these guys? This is horse shit.
Yeah,
like, none of this makes any fucking sense.
So Cameron Lindsay continues, it's my understanding based on the documents that I examined, the 2 officers that were working in the special housing unit allegedly falsified the records and did not do any rounds for approximately 8 hours, which is basically fucking an entire shift.
Yeah.
Lindsay said that's a huge deal. This is one of the most basic operational aspects of managing a jail or prison. Since his death precluded the possibility of pursuing criminal charges, a judge dismissed all criminal charges on August 29th, 2019, after he died.
Yeah.
Epstein had a decades-long association with
Ghislaine
Maxwell, thank you, who has faced persistent allegations of procuring and sexually trafficking underage girls for Epstein, which led to her arrest by the FBI in July 2nd, 2020. So pretty fucking recently. Epstein also maintained a years-long friendship with Prince Andrew, Duke of York, who resigned from royal duties over his ties to Epstein. So let's get into the infamous pedophile island. Well, I mean, it's one of those things that it's too fucking crazy to wrap your head around. Just because this dude had so many properties that, I'm using allegedly, but I don't believe it's allegedly, that, he had many properties that he fucking committed these, abominations to children.
Yeah.
And let's just get into, all the details about the islands and the properties and the center of it being Pedophile Island, if Chris wants to go ahead with that.
Yeah. So, starting off, one of the common mistakes that people make when referring to the lavish holdings of the convicted sex offender, Jeffrey Epstein, is that, he only had the one island, but it was actually 2 in the Caribbean. About a mile southeast of St. Thomas in the U.S. Virgin Islands lies the 75-acre Little St. James, which Epstein bought through an LLC in 1998 for $7.95 million. Which, fuck me, I don't know how he had that much money. Well, I mean, I do know how he had that much money, but he later added that the 165-acre Great St. James Island for the reported price of $18 million in 2016. So he paid even more for that one. Well, fuck. Below is everything we know about the islands, from their disturbing nicknames to the alleged crimes that occurred there to the mysterious temple on the Great St. James Island. So, alleged victim Virginia Roberts, I don't know how the hell to say that last name, Giuffre, claimed in a 2015 lawsuit that she was a sex slave for Epstein and that she was abused in his homes in New York, New Mexico, Florida, and the U.S. Virgin Islands, where she was allegedly forced into an orgy with numerous other underage girls. Ugh, fucking disgusting. She also states that she was forced to have sexual relations with Prince Andrew when she was a minor. And this took place at Epstein's Little St. James estate. Additionally, the islands would be the likely site of a possible financial crimes related to the criminal investigation run by the Southern District of New York's Public Corruption Unit, as Epstein ran his mysterious offshore business, a financial trust company, from there. Located between St. Thomas and St. John as of 2008, Little St. James Island featured a staff of 70 people, 5 buildings, and a flamingo-stocked lagoon. So really, he was just trying to show off how fucking rich he was.
Yeah.
Which, not atypical for somebody with this kind of mentality. Like, obviously, he's very obsessed with, like, showing how powerful he is by doing stuff like this, buying fucking islands, filling it with 70 people, 5 buildings, and flamingos. Why do you need a lagoon full of flamingos? He just wants to...
Well, it's the same thing, like, even with his, like, alleged ties to human trafficking, it's one of those things, like, that's a fucking power thing. You don't get into human trafficking if you're not like, yeah, guess what? All of your rights, the fact that you're a free human being, I could just fucking take that away. I don't give a shit.
And really, I think that's all this was, is he was just very power hungry. He got off on, seeming as powerful as he possibly could.
Yeah, and the pedophile thing, like, I'm pretty sure that's mostly about power as well.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know. It's one of those things that just bugs the shit out of me. When people are like that. I mean, I know a couple people like that are just standoffish, but not to the point where they completely disregard, other people's, souls, like their very fucking well-being, their entire body as as just property. That's why he went after, younger, because, they want submissiveness. They don't want the pushback that an adult woman would do, you know?
But, anyway, when Epstein first bought this island of Little St. James, he stripped it of the native vegetation and then adorned it with palm trees and placed 2 giant flags on both ends of the island. Epstein's residence on the island is a stone mansion with cream-colored walls and a turquoise roof. Again, which, like, just demonstrating power. Before he kind of went to prison, Epstein commissioned a renovation of Little St. James per the Times magazine. This was what they said. The villa will occupy the island's promontory, which offers views of the Atlantic on one side and the Caribbean on the other. It will have a separate library to house Mr. Epstein's 90,000 volumes, a Japanese bathhouse, and what he calls a Ziegfeld movie theater.
Yeah, okay.
The larger, more recently purchased Great St. James Island is currently and illegally under construction. In 2018, the Virgin Islands Department of Planning and Natural Resources issued a stop work order to Epstein for not adhering to environmental regulations. Not letting the law get in the way, the New York Post reports that there has been unauthorized work on the island since the stop work order was issued. So again, he just doesn't give a fuck if you tell him not to do something. The plan for the complex includes an amphitheater and an underwater office and pool, according to the Virgin Islands Daily News. But aside from that, guys, on another note, I believe it is time for a little segment some of you might know as Tipplers Tidbit.
Tipplers Tidbit.
Tipplers Tidbit is a short segment where I tell you one random fun fact about alcohol. And today's Tipplers Tidbit is this. Did you know that it is illegal to get your fish drunk in Ohio?
What?
Yeah. And I had to triple check this because I didn't believe it when I first read it, but it is absolutely true. So I know this is going to foil a bunch of y'all's plans to get your pet goldfish gill all liquored up, but I'm sorry to inform you that if you're in Ohio, you will be breaking the law. If you want to get your fish white girl wasted, then just hop the border to any neighboring state and you'll be totally free to do so. This has been your Tipplers Tidbit.
Tipplers
right, guys, let's get back on track to what we were talking about here. Sean, didn't you say something about a temple?
No.
Oh, well, guess what? Epstein fucking had a temple.
What?
Yeah, he had a temple. On a hill on the southwest point of Little St. James Island, there's a temple painted with blue and white stripes and topped with a golden dome. As Business Insider describes it, the front is flanked by statues painted in gold. One of them appears to be the trident-wielding Poseidon, the Greek god of the sea, while two others look like birds perched on the corners of the roof. It is surrounded by a line of palm trees and a terrace with the labyrinth motif. Finally, the exterior seems to incorporate an optical illusion to create the impression that the exterior windows and door are set within carved flanges. Which, that sounds bizarre and fucking weird, terrifying shit. Like, really not hard to imagine that there's some, weird, creepy, pedophilic fucking occult type shit going on there. Because just the way it's described, and even with, what the hell's with the Poseidon statue? Like, fucking creepy. I don't know. To me, that's creepy. I mean, it's creepy for one to have a temple, but two, to make it look so weird and then have, like, fucking Poseidon outside of it. I don't know. It's weird as shit. But as well as Epstein having an alleged sex temple, he has also installed concealed cameras in numerous places on his properties to allegedly record sexual activity with underage girls by prominent people for criminal purposes, such as blackmail. Which, it
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Of course, he wants to, like, we're building it here. He's a very power-hungry person, so he's not only he's practicing these same things, and then he's blackmailing people for doing the exact same shit he's doing. It's just a very gross person. His girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, told a friend that Epstein's private island in the Virgin Islands was completely wired for video, and that she believed that Maxwell and Epstein were videotaping everyone on the island as an insurance policy. When police raided his Palm Beach residence in 2006, 2 hidden pinhole cameras were discovered in his home. It was also reported that Epstein's mansion in New York was wired extensively with video surveillance system. Maria Farmer, an artist who worked for Epstein in 1996, noted that Epstein showed her a media room in the New York mansion where there were individuals monitoring the pinhole cameras through the house. Creepy.
Yeah, that's fucking terrifying.
The media room was accessed through a hidden door. She stated that in the media room, there were men sitting there, and I looked at the cameras and I saw a toilet, bed, toilet, bed. She added that it was very obvious that there were, like, monitoring private moments. So, he couldn't even fucking take a shit in his house without him fucking trying to spy in on you.
Yeah.
Epstein allegedly lent girls to powerful people to integrate himself with them and also to gain possible blackmail information. According to the Department of Justice, he kept compact discs locked in his safe in the New York mansion with handwritten labels that included the description, young, name plus name. So I'm assuming it was probably like, the name of the young girl plus the name of whoever he was trying to blackmail. Epstein partially confirmed that he had blackmail material when he told a New York Times reporter in 2018, off the record, that he had dirt on powerful people, including information about their sexual proclivities and recreational drug use. In which you gotta imagine he really must have had some blackmail info, which is exactly why he got suicided to death. But now we have some newer updates to this particular story unfolding. Sean, do you want to go ahead and give up those updates?
Yeah. So, the FBI has arrested British socialite Ghislaine Maxwell, which was pretty recently, on multiple charges related to the serial sexual abuse of girls and young women by the late financier Jeffery Epstein. Quote, Maxwell was among Epstein's closest associates and helped him exploit girls who were as young as 14 years old. Audrey Strauss, acting U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, said at a news conference Thursday, which was I think the 13th. I'm not sure. Maxwell faces charges that includes transporting a minor for the purposes of criminal sexual activity and conspiring to entice minors to travel to engage in illegal sex acts. According to a 6-count grand jury indictment that was unsealed earlier in the day, Maxwell, 58, was arrested early Thursday in Bradford, New Hampshire. I think that's New Hampshire, NH.
Yeah.
She is expected to appear in U.S. District Court in New Hampshire. Hampshire, yeah. I'm already buzzed. On Thursday afternoon, Strauss said the federal charges against her largely align with allegations by Epstein's victims, who have accused Maxwell of helping the disgraced financier run a sex trafficking ring that victimized teenage girls. Maxwell has previously denied allegations linking her to Epstein's exploitation of girls and young women, including denials she made during sworn testimony for depositions in 2016. The indictment accuses Maxwell of committing perjury in those depositions. Maxwell was taken into custody nearly a year after Epstein was arrested and charged with sex trafficking minors and paying victims to recruit other underage girls, and, of course, after his death. A federal judge denied Maxwell bail on Thursday the 14th, and 14th of July, and ordered the 58-year-old to spend the next year awaiting trial in Brooklyn Detention Center. Fucking good, because fuck her.
Yeah.
Where she has been held since shortly after her July 2nd arrest in New Hampshire. A friend who The Sun, in a magazine, described as in regular contact with Maxwell and her secret New Hampshire hideaway. And the death threats spurred the British socialite to hire security guards and led her to believe she may not live to see her trial, which fucking good, honestly. In this case, of course, we kind of need her to live. I want her to fucking die, but we need her to live right now.
We need her to live long enough to testify about all this shit because, a lot of people didn't even know about Ghislaine until she got arrested and all that stuff. Like, I didn't know about her. I didn't even know Epstein had a girlfriend. But I ended up watching a documentary, and it goes into detail about how, like, extensively Ghislaine helped Epstein do a lot of this shit. So she is a disgusting, evil, nasty fucking person. She totally deserves to die.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, we need her to live. So just like Epstein, root for the bad guy long enough for them to, get all the other bad guys put away.
Yeah.
And then fuck her. After that, I don't give a shit. She can die a miserable death for all I care.
Yeah, it's quoted from an unnamed friend of Ghislaine's, quote, "Everyone's view, including Ghislaine's, is Epstein was murdered." Fucking...
Yeah, no shit.
Sorry, let's continue the quote. "She received death threats before she was even arrested," the unnamed friend told The Sun. So, yeah, even Ghislaine knows that she's probably gonna fucking die. And, like, that just gives even more fucking evidence to the fact that Epstein was, in fact, fucking murdered. Yeah. I'm pretty sure we're all in agreement about this. Like, I'm not gonna say we're not. Because I haven't seen anybody online that really argues with that.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen anybody saying that they believe he actually committed suicide. Like, and especially him, like how we're talking about, you gotta imagine, he's very full of himself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and he's very power hungry. Anybody who's power hungry and full of themselves and likes to control people, they are not gonna kill themselves.
Mm-hmm.
The only way I would even believe that he would kill himself is to avoid being killed in a more heinous and disgusting, like more brutal way by somebody else.
Yeah.
But I just don't buy it. Just all the evidence points to him being murdered. It just doesn't make sense for him to kill himself.
Yeah, but it's just unfortunate that all the evidence in a court of law is pretty much just useless because it really just boils down to, okay, well, yeah, we know the guards fucked up and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But, like, there's no fucking witnesses. I guarantee you, even if those guards were charged, they were, I think. Yeah, we said that earlier. They were charged. Yeah. And if they went to prison, fucking guaranteed they got paid plenty of money. They probably wouldn't mind fucking being away for a couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally suspicious that they didn't check on him for a total of 8 hours.
Mhm.
And like, that one woman was saying, it's not ordinary. They're supposed to check on him every 30 minutes. So it's my belief that they probably got talked to, told like, hey, you're going to probably do some time for this, but you're set for life.
Yeah, that's
and who
not
wouldn't
an uncommon...
accept that deal to just let some fucking pedophile die so that way you can be set for life?
Yeah, that's not an uncommon thing. Like, in the fact that, like, he was putting money in, other inmates' commissary to, not kick his ass, basically.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just one of those things. There's no fucking way he didn't.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into a couple of conspiracies that have a connection with Jeffrey Epstein, or at least human trafficking and pedophilia in general. Which, by the way, this is flipping it on its head because me and Chris both completely agree with Jeffrey Epstein not committing suicide, and just the fact that, there's a way bigger picture thing going on here. I 100% would agree with that. But sometimes sensationalism leads to misinformation about specific things. And pedophilia, or human trafficking, can kind of ruin some reputations of otherwise very, professional businesses. And these are a couple of the stories that I will tell the whole story of, but overall, it just doesn't really hold up.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that more after I give you the info. So, how about Pizzagate, right? Pizzagate is a debunked conspiracy theory that went viral during the 2016 United States presidential election cycle, and has been extensively discredited by a wide range of organizations, including the Washington, D.C. Police. In March 2016, the personal email account of John Podesta, Hillary Clinton's campaign manager, was hacked in a spear phishing attack. WikiLeaks published his emails in November 2016, and proponents of the Pizzagate conspiracy theory falsely claimed the emails contained coded messages that connected several high-ranking Democratic Party officials and U.S. restaurants with an alleged human trafficking and child sex ring. One of the establishments allegedly involved was the Comet Ping Pong Pizzeria in Washington, D.C. Members of the alt-right, conservative journalists, and others who had urged Clinton's prosecution over Clinton's emails spread the conspiracy theory on social media outlets such as 4chan, 8chan, and Twitter. In response, a man from North Carolina traveled to Comet Ping Pong to investigate the conspiracy and had fired a rifle inside the restaurant. The restaurant owner and staff also received death threats from conspiracy theorists, and the conspiracy theory received a resurgence in 2020 and was spread by QAnon conspiracy theorists, as well as young people on TikTok who don't otherwise fit a right-wing conspiracy theorist mold.
Yeah.
It became less expressly political in nature, with emphasis away from the Clinton family personally, and onto alleged worldwide elite of child sex traffickers. So, on October 30th, 2016, a Twitter account that posted white supremacist material and presented itself as run by a New York lawyer claimed that the New York City Police Department had discovered a pedophilia ring linked to members of the Democratic Party while searching through Anthony Weiner's emails. Throughout October and November 2016, WikiLeaks had published John Podesta's emails. Proponents of the theory read that the emails alleged they contained code words, like I mentioned earlier, like pizza, which apparently the code word for pedophilia and human trafficking, or children in general. Proponents had claimed that Comet Ping Pong was a meeting ground for satanic ritual abuse, and the story was later posted on fake news websites. And not like fake news like fucking Trump says.
Fake news. But
Yeah.
we're talking about like, The Onion or,
Well, not The Onion. The Onion's more like...
Yeah,
joke.
but I know that's like fake news too.
But not like official media outlets is like the point. The Onion's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Check out The Onion.
Check out The Onion.
Shit. Yeah, so the story was later posted on fake news websites, beginning with Your News Wire, which cited a 4chan post from earlier that year. The Your News Wire article was subsequently spread by pro-Trump websites, including subjectpolitics.com, which added the claim that the NYPD had raided Hillary Clinton's property, which fucking, of course, wasn't true. And the conservative Daily Post read a headline claiming that the Federal Bureau of Investigation had confirmed the theory. So, yeah. On December 4th, 2016, Edgar Madison Welch, a 28-year-old man from Salisbury, North Carolina, the man I mentioned earlier, arrived at Comet Ping Pong, motherfuck, and fired 3 shots from an AR-15 style rifle that struck the restaurant's walls, a desk, and a door. Welch later told the police that he had planned to self-investigate the conspiracy theory. Welch saw himself as a potential hero of the story, a rescuer of the children. He surrendered after officers surrounded the restaurant and was arrested without incident. No one was injured, and Welch told police that he had read online that the Comet restaurant was harboring child sex slaves and that he wanted to see for himself if they were in there. In an interview with the New York Times, Welch later said that he regretted how he had handled the situation, but did not dismiss the conspiracy theory in its entirety, and rejected the description of it as fake news. Some conspiracy theorists speculated that the shooting was a staged attempt to discredit their investigations. Motherfuck, dude. On December 13th, 2016, Welch was charged with 1 count of interstate transportation of a firearm with intent to commit an offense, which is a federal crime. According to court documents, Welch attempted to recruit friends 3 days before the attack by urging them to watch a YouTube video about the conspiracy. He was subsequently charged with the 2 additional offenses of the grand jury returning an indictment, charging him with an assault of a dangerous weapon and possession of a firearm during the commission of the crime. On March 24th, 2017, following a plea agreement with prosecutors, Welch pleaded guilty of the federal charge of interstate transport of firearms, and the local District of Columbia charge of assault with a dangerous weapon. So Welch also agreed to pay $5,744.33 for damages to the restaurant. U.S. District Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson sentenced Welch to 4 years in prison on June 22nd, 2017. At the sentencing hearing, Welch apologized for his conduct and said he had been foolish and reckless. On January 12, 2017, Yusuf Lee Jones, a 52-year-old man from Shreveport, Louisiana, pleaded guilty in the U.S. District Court for the Western District of Louisiana by making a threatening phone call to Besta Pizza, another pizzeria on the same block as Comet Ping Pong, 3 days after Welch's attack. He said he threatened Besta to, quote, save the kids and, quote, finish what the other guy did not. On January 25th, 2019, Comet Ping Pong suffered an arson attack when a fire was started in one of its back rooms. Employees quickly extinguished the blaze and nobody was injured. Now, if that's not enough, conspiracy theorists claim that there were underground tunnels, and when this dude went into this place, he discovered no tunnels and not even a fucking basement. Now, Chris, what do you think about this whole thing? Because we had a discussion personally about the fact that, you know, how it had mentioned earlier, like, if it was a staged incident and stuff like that, and, like, people in power could potentially do that, but just how that's what convinces me was whenever conspiracy theorists, you know, say that kind of shit, say that there's underground tunnels and stuff like that. Do you think that was just an exaggeration on their part and stuff could have been happening, or do you think it's all just not real?
Yeah, so, like, the way I see this is, like, obviously there's a total possibility that it could be real, because like we had talked about before, it's not uncommon for like criminal activity to use a business like pizza or, you know, fucking laundry or whatever to use as a front for what they're actually doing behind the scenes. So to hear that, you know, a pizzeria was being used as like some sort of hideaway for pedophile cult and stuff, it does sound strange, but it's not that weird when you think about it in terms of reality. I think the problem was people took it too far, and like how you said, you know, there were claims of underground tunnels and stuff like that, and it just got so out of hand that you know, it starts to sound way too goofy to be true. And I think that's actually a problem with conspiracy theorists in general too, is I think some of them actually they kind of end up like debunking themselves in a way, because they end up making up way too much shit about stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that just sort of like discredits their own conspiracy theories. But as far as that Edgar Welch guy goes, I can't say I completely like condemn him for what he did, because he had good intentions.
Mm-hmm.
All he wanted to do was save kids from being, involved in like a molestation thing, and good on him for that, honestly. Like, I've had my own fantasies about being the hero of like saving some person from some sort of tragic incident, and when you hear about stuff like this and you believe it enough, of course you kind of want to like take things into your own hands and be the one that wants to save the day and everything like that. So I understand where he's coming from, but if you're going to do something like that, like shoot up a whole building and possibly injure somebody, you really need to be sure of what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah.
And you really need to be sure that something is going on there. You can't trust everything you see on the internet, guys. And that's where the main point of conspiracy theories comes from. Is the internet. Everybody just automatically believes everything. Like, you can't even trust the biggest news sites nowadays. You just kind of have to dig the facts up for yourself, and
yeah, you have to remember that the person that wrote that article has their own personal opinion, and they're going to have a biased opinion. They won't give you just the details, just the facts and figures. They're going to give you their spin on it.
Yeah.
So whenever it comes to stuff like this, Pizzagate, which we're going to talk about Wayfair here in a minute, you have to keep in mind that whenever the initial response of it is, you have to see both sides, and you have to make sure that whenever you see a story, know that it's not just black and white. It's not people that believe it's true, and it's not people that believe it's false. You have to find the gray, and you have to find what the actual truth is. Fucking, you have to get away from your emotional side and start being cold and look at the facts and figures and come to a conclusion on that. And it's very fucking hard to do that. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah.
There are plenty of stories and things I've read about, just about like just celebrity gossip and shit like that, where my opinion is tainted because of just an article I read, and that one article convinced me that like, oh, this person's an asshole. But then, like, the more I looked into it, and I'm not, I don't have any specific story in mind, but, like, you look into it and you're like, fucking, would I do anything different, honestly? And I don't know. It's just one of those things, like, loose example, like Justin Bieber, right? Fucking, he got a DUI a long time ago, and whatever. But everyone's shitting on him for it. But fucking, keep in mind, being 21 and being a fucking millionaire, would you do anything different? Seriously?
Yeah,
like, I was
off the wall.
Yeah, like, I'd fucking fly off the handle from that shit. You're fucking 21 and you're a millionaire. And he and not just a millionaire like he grew up a millionaire, because that's why, like, people like
he became a millionaire.
Yeah, he became a millionaire in his childhood. That's like your number one dream. I
think he was like 13 when he got discovered, or 14?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so he started his fame pretty early.
Yeah, so but most of the spins, my point is, most of the spins painted him to be kind of a piece of shit for like, oh, why would he want to ruin his career like that? It's like, he's not ruining his career. He's fucking celebrating.
He's being a 21-year-old.
Yeah, he's being a fucking 21-year-old. So just, and I know that's very loose connection, but just in that example, you have to do your own research.
Yeah, all we're saying is everything's not so black and white. So don't believe everything you read or see or whatever. You gotta make your own opinions about stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get into the Wayfair conspiracy. Chris, do you know anything about the Wayfair conspiracy? Like facts, figures, details?
So yeah, I'll start off by explaining it to anybody who doesn't know what it was. Basically, this whole Wayfair thing came about when somebody saw some high-priced items on Wayfair and ended up making these connections to being kids being sold instead of furniture. But we're going to go ahead and just kind of go into it in a little more detail, so that way we can put some like actual facts to it, and details that are being left out when you guys see this stuff on social media. So anyway, let's go ahead and get into this. In July 2020, some social media users accused the furniture store Wayfair of trafficking children. This is a pretty serious accusation, and it was not based on police reports or firsthand accounts or financial records or even, deep investigative reporting. Rather, it was just based on the fact that some items on Wayfair were listed at, gigantic prices compared to other similar items. This rumor appears to have originated on the conspiracy section of Reddit on July 9th, 2020. That post noted that Wayfair was selling utility closets from WFX that were priced at more than $10,000 and offered child trafficking as a possible explanation. That post, like so many other conspiracy theories, offered this notion as a mere possibility and said that it would be stomach-churning if true. So, didn't have any evidence, just basically threw it out there and let people run wild with it, like most conspiracy
theories. It was just
theories.
Someone who posted it and was like, yeah, wouldn't that be fucking crazy? And that's basically what they said.
But anyway, this is what the Reddit post said. Is it possible Wayfair is involved in human trafficking with their WFX utility collection? Or are these just extremely overpriced cabinets? Note the names of the cabinets. This makes me sick to my stomach if it's true. And it had the following images of cabinets, pillows, baby books, etc. Now, this post led to other users combining the Wayfair website in search of other oddities. One Twitter user, for instance, found a set of pillows and shower curtains that were listed for $9,999, so almost $10,000. As similar items on the website were listed for only $99, this person assumed that the only logical explanation was that the higher-priced item was being used to traffic children. Generally speaking, the images show expensive cabinets and large price differentials on pillows, shower curtains, and other items on Wayfair's websites are real. However, it takes quite a leap in logic to arrive at the conclusion that this is evidence that the store is engaged in child trafficking. Because again, it's not based on any facts, it's just kind of speculation. In fact, the more we ponder this claim, the more nonsensical it appears. Would a large business really use their official website to allow people to purchase children online? As these items are available to everyone and anyone with internet access, wouldn't it be possible for somebody to accidentally become involved in child trafficking? Because, what if somebody just on a fucking whim had $10,000 to spend and they wanted to spend it on a fucking cabinet and they bought this cabinet? Do you think they're really sending a fucking child to this person that just wanted to buy a cabinet? I don't buy it. So yeah, why would a child trafficking operation use a method that would be so easy to track too? Like it just doesn't make any sense. And again, this claim is just largely based on the idea that a $10,000 simply too expensive cabinet is just the way for child trafficking to take care of it. It just doesn't make any sense. And it's just they're using that high dollar amount to justify it being child trafficking. In a statement to Newsweek, however, Wayfair noted that these were industrial grade cabinets and that they had been accurately priced. Wayfair said that they temporarily removed the items as the accompanying descriptions did not accurately explain the reason for the price point. So, of course, that's kind of going to feed into people making further assumptions. As this rumor circulated on social media, people chimed in with the additional evidence of Wayfair's supposedly nefarious activities. For instance, some claimed that searching for the stock keeping unit number, which is SKU or SKU, associated with these items, preceded by the term SRC USA on the Russian search engine Yandex, it would return images of young female children. Now, this is bizarre. It is bizarrely true. However, searching for just about any random thing preceded by the SRC USA returns similar results. So it's possible that these image results are connected to the Russian image hosting website IMGSRC
or image source,
which was previously known for hosting child pornography images. Others claim that these products carried the names of children who had gone missing. One cabinet, for instance, appeared on Wayfair as the Annabelle 5-shelf storage unit. This, according to the proponents of the theory, corresponded with an Annabelle Wilson who had gone missing in Kansas. While this may seem suspicious to those seeking a pattern, it should be noted that there were more than 400,000 entries for missing juveniles in the FBI's National Crime Information Center in 2019. In other words, the fact that some of these products' names were the same as the names of children who had gone missing could easily be nothing more than a coincidence. Furthermore, some of the missing children cases this theory attempted to connect to Wayfair have already been solved. The Olivia shelf, for example, was supposedly connected to Olivia Navarro, who was an autistic child that went missing at the age of 3 in 2013, and unfortunately it was found dead shortly after she went missing. And the result of that was she had drowned in a nearby pond. So now that we've gone over all of that, me and Sean are going to go do this little back and forth of some of these claims, and then we're going to actually give you the facts of, what was really going on. Because a lot of this stuff is getting thrown around, and it's a lot of misinformation. So, the first claim that we're going to go over is that Niraj Shah, who is the chief executive officer of the furniture company Wayfair, has resigned amid childhood sex trafficking allegations against the company.
Well, the fact is, Shah has not stepped down, according to a Wayfair spokesperson, and claims that the company is involved in child trafficking are a part of an unfounded conspiracy theory. On Monday, false posts circulating on social media alleged that Shah, the CEO and co-founder of the online furniture retailer Wayfair, had left the company. Quote, breaking news, Wayfair CEO just stepped down amid child trafficking allegations, wrote one Facebook user in a post that racked up more than 250,000 views in 2 days. Quote, Wayfair CEO steps down. If you haven't heard about Wayfair, go to Twitter now. Read another post on Facebook page claiming to be a community for yoga hobbyists. Wayfair set the record straight in an email to the AP. Shah has not stepped down. The false claim comes as the conspiracy theories have swirled around Wayfair in recent days, with social media users claiming without evidence that the company's high prices for cabinets and other products indicate it is embroiled in child sex trafficking. The company's spokesperson flatly denied those allegations.
So, the result of that one is, as far as we can go by the details, that is not true. The CEO of Wayfair did not step down because there was child trafficking, allegations against him. So that did not happen. The next claim was that there is a video of a 6-year-old girl being instructed to show her hands in her profile before jumping on a couch where she plays with a doll and talks about prices on Wayfair as evidence of the online retailer is involved in human trafficking.
So the video is an audition tape for a Wayfair commercial that was uploaded by the girl's mother. London-based Alphabet agency confirmed to the AP. Social media users are circulating the audition video, which captures the London girl dressed in a green shirt and overalls from various angles, as evidence to support a conspiracy theory that Wayfair is trafficking young children through its website. In this video, the girl says she is 6 years old and with the Alphabet kids. A woman shooting the video then has the girl show her hands in side profile before the girl jumps on the couch to play with the doll. The video ends with the woman saying the low price of the couch she is sitting on can't possibly be correct. And the girl responds by saying, with Wayfair it is. Alphabet Kids is a reference to the Alphabet agency, a talent agency registered for business in London. The video was recorded as an audition for a Wayfair commercial. And was taken from a YouTube channel created by the young girl's mother, Carlene McCarthy, a senior agent for the Alphabet management, told the AP in an email. Copies of the video were uploaded in posts even after the video was made private by the mother. McCarthy said a 2019 Wayfair commercial features vignettes of families and friends gathering around a couch, including children playing on a couch or in the living room, in a manner similar to the audition tape. So that's all it fucking was an audition tape.
Yeah.
And just because I had a kid, and let's be honest, kids sell shit, especially whenever it comes to like home comfort and stuff, they almost always go with the family route in auditions, or not auditions, but commercials. They go with the family route if you're selling, beds, couches and stuff like that, because they want to be like, oh, it can fit your whole family. Mm-hmm. And that's very much what this was.
Yeah, that one right there is a whole just example of context. Because out of context, of course, a video of a girl like auditioning for, that kind of a commercial or whatever, where she has to like show her profile and all this stuff and then jump on a couch and say shit about Wayfair. Taken out of context and especially applied to this kind of a theory, it can look like anything. But when you put it into context, she was doing an audition tape for, a commercial. That's all it was. It was completely innocent. Her mom was there. You guys calm the hell down.
Yeah.
The next claim was, and I actually heard about this one, was there was a photo that shows Ghislaine Maxwell with the president of operations at Wayfair.
Well, the fact is, the 2003 photo shows Maxwell, British socialite and longtime confidant of Jeffrey Epstein, with George Bamford, founder of Bamford Watch Department. Wayfair, a company that sells furniture and home goods online, currently does not have a president of operations. On July 11th, a photo circulated on Twitter with the false claims that it showed Maxwell with Bill Hutcherson, Wayfair's president of operations. Ghislaine Maxwell with the president of operations at Wayfair, Bill Hutcherson. Damn, she was really rubbing elbows with everybody, huh? The false tweet, claims or states. The bogus claim also circulated on Facebook. The photo was taken on December 8th, 2003, as Maxwell and Bamford, whose business customizes luxury watches, attended the opening of the Asbury flagship store on Fifth Avenue in New York. Photographer Mark Maines captured the photo for Getty Images. Maxwell, 58, was arrested July 2nd at a New Hampshire estate before being moved to New York City to face federal charges accusing her of helping Epstein sexually exploit young women and girls. And she has been detained at a jail in Brooklyn without bail, according to AP reporting. So there is no president of operations listed on the Wayfair website, and there's no employee named Bill Hutcherson on Wayfair's executive team. On July 10th, a conspiracy theory went viral claiming Wayfair was selling overpriced furniture. Social media users posted pictures of Wayfair selling mundane home items and, all the stuff we said already. The product listing sparked far-out theories due to high-priced items because they were labeled with names that matched those of missing children. The theory linking Wayfair to sex trafficking has since been debunked. Quote, "There is, of course, no truth to these claims," Wayfair said in a statement. Quote, "The products in question are industrial-grade cabinets that are accurately priced." So it's just, them repeating the same thing over and over.
So just going off of the facts, not necessarily our opinions or anything like that, but just going based off of what we can tangibly see and everything from what the company has been transparent about, this conspiracy theory is not real.
Yeah.
Wayfair is not selling children through the website. Now, I'm not saying it's not possible, and I'm not saying that, somebody isn't covering it up or whatever, because, quite honestly, I do believe that that could be possible. But right now, you got to keep a level head, and you got to go off of facts, and right now, that's the way it looks, is that this isn't real. Just the same thing with the Pizzagate. I know there's a lot of people that still, despite all the evidence to the contrary, believe that it's going on, but it's just, like I said, sometimes you got to look at what's presented to you as fact, and the facts show that this is not happening.
Mm-hmm.
So, you kind of got to just take it as it comes. And I know it sucks sometimes to try to just think about it in terms of like, the business is saying, we're not doing it. And it's like, of course they're going to say that we're not doing it. But that's all we got right now. The theory is just that right now. There's no facts. There are no facts at all to support this theory. It is literally just a theory. So until we have any sort of fact that, like you could take to court, then I'm not going to, go spouting that I think this is true. I think it's a very good theory, but there's nothing to support it. So
yeah, and it's like even us using the word allegations, we probably even shouldn't be using that word just because there aren't any. I mean, there's like
all the allegations are from people online.
Yeah, so there isn't actually official, in the court of law.
Yeah, there's no no like crime investigation into this or anything like that. So there's really nothing. It's just, like I said, it's literally just a theory.
And you guys got to keep in mind, like, whenever we say stuff like that, where it comes from, oh, like, there's no actual investigation, blah, blah, blah. Like, I know for a fact some of you could be thinking, well, that's because, they're covering it up. They pay off people to not do these investigations and shit. You got to keep in mind, not the whole government, not every single person in government or police officers and detectives and stuff, not fucking all of them are so easily bought.
Yeah.
And in this kind of a case or this kind of a story, like, fucking anybody can investigate it. If you're a detective, like an official detective, or even just, what's the word, like a retired detective that keeps doing it, PI?
A PI.
Yeah, like a PI could do that.
I was like, shit, you, if you're really that curious, you can go investigate this. It's not that hard. You go talk to the right people, you'll find stuff out.
Yeah.
If you're really that curious, go do it. And then you bust a hole in this story or whatever,
Yeah, and keep in mind, this story is still unfolding. Like recently I saw a picture that was posted from a Wayfair employee that was basically saying like, oh, if anybody asks you questions about this, like just refer them to another number or something like that.
Yeah.
And like from a business perspective, if anybody accused me or Chris or anything of like any sort of crime, let alone sex trafficking, you're not going to want to answer any questions because it really just comes down to like you can have those words used against you no matter how you word it.
Yeah. And
like, that's a lot of people's evidence as being, oh, well, they're trying to hide something. No, they're just not trying to talk because they don't want to talk about it. And like I said, you can see it from both sides. That's just the side I view it from, like in the business perspective anyway. Like, no, there's no fucking way I would even answer you because if you're just like very flatly like, no, I'm not doing that. Okay, well, tell us the details of why you're not doing that. And then when you don't have the details, they're like, see, you don't have any details. You're hiding something. It's just one of those things. Like, it's always a gotcha with that kind of shit. And I also understand that, this could very well be happening. And, fucking egg on our face if this isn't true, or this is true, I mean. But, if it is true, then yeah, fuck Wayfair. But if it's not true, then fucking, hey, Wayfair, if you could sponsor us, that'd be fucking great.
No, but yeah, like, that's why I am saying, like, it is a strong theory, because I do, there are parts of it that make sense and stuff like that. And, like, obviously, when you just look at it from the surface, it all kind of goes together. But, right now, like I said, you just have to go off the facts, and we don't know any facts that support this theory, so.
Yeah, and then if any of you out there doesn't have good detective skills, then fucking hire a PI and just be like, hey, investigate Wayfair. They'll gladly do it. They don't give a shit.
Yeah.
You pay them the right fucking coin, they're gonna goddamn, I've been playing too much Witcher. You pay them the right amount of money, they won't give a fuck, they'll investigate whatever you want. But yeah, another thing, we didn't want to put this in the updates, but there is a story that was sent to us by a fan and friend of ours, Hannah Lazarin, and she sent us a really interesting story. Chris, do you have that story?
Yeah. I'm just gonna warn you now. It's kind of dark, so a lot of this has been. It has been dark talking about this kind of stuff, but
this goes into it.
I was like, this gives a little more details to some of that stuff. So if you're not ready to hear some of this stuff, then
Yeah, I haven't heard the story, so you're gonna hear my reaction to it as well.
And I'm gonna read it verbatim. So I'm not gonna leave anything out. It's gonna be exactly how it's written. But yeah, this is a story that Hannah Lazarin sent us, and it's basically talking about a case that happened, I guess, in 2004, kind of surrounding like child pedophile stuff and like kind of secret cult stuff going on. But anyway, let's go ahead and read this story here real quick and starting it off. So it starts out like this. Take a deep breath before reading this. Note the red shoes on the children in the pictures. And there's pictures included with this. I'll try to upload them or have our new social media person upload those. The story I'm about to tell you is true. Perhaps the most intriguing part of this story is that every single person reading this post, every single one of you, was alive when the story became news in 2004. That fact is intriguing because everyone reading this post has either never heard about this story or forgot about it, and I'm betting the first one because it is truly unforgettable. Furthermore, once you hear this story in its entirety, I can promise you it will be seared into your memory forever. Our main character is a man named Marc Dutroux. He was born in Belgium in 1956. He was twice convicted of kidnapping and raping underage children. The first time in 1989. The second time occurred in 1996. That was not a typo. You read that correctly. He was convicted and served a much too brief sentence in 1998. He served only 3.5 years of his 13-year sentence because he was released for good behavior. Less than 10 years later, he was arrested again on the same charges, different victims. In the second round of charges, he was convicted of kidnapping, torturing, and abusing victims, some of them to the point of death. What I'm about to tell you comes from the statements made by his surviving victims, called the X-Files, Marc Dutroux himself, and evidence from law enforcement. I've also added references, citations at the very end of this post. Here we go. Marc confessed to kidnapping, raping, drugging, torturing, and filming children for many years. He also claimed he was doing it at the behest of political elite who financed his career as a professional trafficker. Not only did this political elite finance his efforts, they made specific requests of him. Sometimes they requested specific types of children, they were called party favors, and he asked to deliver kids of certain age, sex, and race. Sometimes they requested specific means of torturing the children to fulfill their desires, orgies, satanic rituals involving sacrifice, and torture games.
Jesus fucking Christ.
And sometimes they requested he film certain influential people engaged in these acts for later use as blackmail, same as Jeffery Epstein. I added that part. He claimed many of his customers and financiers were world leaders. This was not a stretch of the imagination because he lived in Belgium, where the EU and NATO headquarters were located. This statement was also corroborated by victims who were able to identify specific politicians. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this name right either, but it's Aniek. Lucas was one of his victims who testified against him. She claimed she was 6 years old when the cleaning lady hired by her mother sold her to the pedophile network in 1969. Her claims were extraordinary. She was raped over 1,700 hours before turning 12 years old. She was 6 years old when she was forced to participate in her first orgy, which included wearing an iron dog collar and eating human excrement. She would actually be delivered back to her parents from time to time. However, her parents themselves were complicit in the crimes and always sent her back to her abusers. Torture included being strapped to a butcher's block used to execute other children. Other victims were forced to torture her for hours as part of their initiation. She was considered attractive, and that made her preferred by her abusers. She claimed that she tried to use that to her survival advantage to the best of her ability. By the age of 11, she had become so broken that she was slated to be executed and disposed of. She said that she was saved when one of her abusers negotiated for her freedom. That abuser would later sit as a defendant in the trial. Other witnesses and victims would soon come forward, describing such things as black masses with child and adult sacrifices taking place in front of observers and participants, which included prominent political figures. This would be corroborated by a note found by police at the house belonging to Bernard Weinstein, a man who previously worked with Dutroux, but whom Dutroux had murdered. The letter contained very specific requests for certain types of victims for satanic sacrifices. The letter was signed by a man who called himself Anubis. It turned out Anubis was the high priest of a satanic cult called Abrasax, whose real name was Francis Desmet. Police obtained a warrant and seized computers, documents, mail, actual human skulls, jars of blood, and all sorts of satanic items.
What the fuck?
But none of this was enough to make an arrest. I don't know how the fuck that's possible. As the Dutroux trial went public, other victims stepped forward and confirmed the testimony, offering up descriptions of sexual abuse and human sacrifice. They also described hunting parties, where elites would release naked children into the woods to hide so that elites themselves could hunt them down and slaughter them. Many of the stories from victims contained so many similarities that they were impossible to deny. For example, the The hunting parties were often held at castles, where victims could not escape and were hidden from the public eye. Those not killed in the hunt were usually chased down and mauled/killed by Dobermans. Yeah, that's fucked up, man. All of these victims echoed the testimonies of the other, older survivors of the ritual satanic abuse from around the world. It is also notable that Dutroux owned 10 homes valued at $6 million apiece. It is also notable that Dutroux was not employed. It is also notable that Dutroux received $1,200 per month in public assistance. It is also notable that documents released by WikiLeaks show large sums of money in various currencies were deposited into his wife's bank account. It is also notable that those deposits coincided with reported kidnappings and missing children reports. It is also notable that before his removal, Judge Jean-Marc Coronet was on the verge of publicly disclosing the names of high-level government officials who have been recognized on videotapes of sexual torture that took place in Dutroux's dungeon. It is also notable that 20 potential witnesses for this case have died without explanation. Does any of this sound familiar? Are there any headlines today that sound like history repeating itself? Guys, not one single thing in this post is theory. It's all proven and on record. You see the pictures attached to this post? Those images are of hunting games. They're paintings that people like Tony Podesta buy and hang in his home and invite others over to enjoy. We all know Epstein was a sick sob who had friends in high places, the same friends that hang out with Tony Podesta. You think Epstein was the only one? That he's somehow unique? Or was he the only low-level one there willing to sacrifice to protect everyone else involved at a higher level? Do you realize now that when it comes to trafficking, Satanism, pedophilia, human sacrifices, organ harvesting, and adrenochrome, that it is art imitating life? That these people who are obsessed with art that glorifies these things might actually themselves be engaged in these things? Do you think that normal, non-pedo, non-cannibal, average Joes would hang that garbage up in their homes? Suddenly, the claims that world leaders and governments being involved in the satanic horror show isn't so far-fetched at all. Suddenly, it's not so crazy to say that the world agencies who claim to stop these crimes, the WHO and the UN, are actually facades that cover up the real work of procuring and enabling, yes, even participating in these crimes. Suddenly, the whole house of cards comes crashing down. With this one case, all the unbelievers are silenced. For crying out loud, this trial was in 2004. Did you remember it? If not, do you wonder why it was not the front page of news across the world? And if you're asking yourself, how do these people get away with this? Have you not yet figured out that there are very people who, supposed to end it, are doing it? Most everyone who has watched an Epstein documentary on Netflix, I think there's maybe 3 or 4, made sense his death. The one thing I've heard people say over and over again was this: where's Epstein's girlfriend and why hasn't she been arrested yet? Did anyone, which, now she has, did anyone asking that question even try to find the answer? Did you just shrug your shoulders and say, well, it is what it is and there's nothing I can do about it, and go on with your life? Let me help you out. Did you hear that the news story from 2 weeks ago that President Trump fired federal prosecutor Jeffrey Berman? He was the prosecutor in charge of the Epstein case. AG Barr requested Berman step down, and Berman refused. So Trump fired him, and Berman was replaced with prosecutor Audrey Strauss. And then suddenly, bam, Maxwell's in custody. Now you get a front row seat for the horror show that is about to come out. You will not believe who is involved and how deep it goes, and you will not believe the lengths that they'll go to in order to protect their secrets. So that's the end of that.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah, details some very fucking horrifying, gruesome shit. The 2 pictures that it has are some like old style kind of pictures. Yeah, I'll bring them up for you to look at here, Sean. Basically just detailing like really fucking
it's showing
tortured people running.
Yeah, it's showing people that are like cut up. Children that are naked, cut up. And these are paintings. Cut up, their ankles cut, running through forests. We'll definitely post these on our Instagram.
Yeah.
What the fuck? I didn't believe you. Like 100%. I had to. That's what I was. I was on my phone right now, and I was looking up. This is 100% fucking true story.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fucking nuts, bro. I don't.
And yeah, I don't remember this at all.
Yeah, I don't.
I was definitely I was 11 years old in 2004. So I'm pretty sure I would remember this if I had heard about it, and I did not hear about it.
Yeah. Wikipedia, whenever I just looked it up, it said that it was very widely publicized. So.
Yeah, I don't remember it at all.
Yeah, I don't know.
Which is crazy to not remember something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. That's fucking nuts.
And yeah, speaking of those documentaries on Netflix, it mentioned that in that story there. I did watch one of them, or at least started to watch one. I didn't get a chance to finish it. I'm probably going to, though, because it was very interesting. But yeah, it does kind of help fuel the fire of like when people start to think that, you know, this stuff can be covered up, because it kind of gives examples of that. And this was just the first episode of like the little short series, and gave an example of, you know, Epstein kind of covering up his wrongdoings and stuff like that. So we do hear you if you're gonna, you know, try to use that as an argument. I understand. I do buy that. I do think that there are people in high places that can pay to cover this stuff up, but I just, you know, to what extent, I don't know. But also, on a final update for all of this Epstein stuff, there was a recent update, like, yeah, it happened on the 20th, so just about 5 days ago, it looks like. You guys might have heard about this, but there was a gunman who killed the son of a judge that was assigned to an Epstein-related case. So, of course, this is helping fuel the fire with all the conspiracy theories. Now, the ones surrounding Epstein, I totally buy into. Mm-hmm. But to give you some of the details of it, I'm going to read an article here. It says, the son of New Jersey federal judge Esther Salas was murdered yesterday, 4 days after Salas, I don't know if I'm saying her name right, by the way, but 4 days after Salas was assigned to a class action lawsuit against Deutsche Bank, alleging the bank failed to properly monitor customers that the bank itself deemed to be high risk, including, among others, the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Her husband was also shot and is in critical condition. Salas was unharmed in the attack. The suspect, who was named Roy Den Hollander, was evidently a men's rights activist, and this is according to the Daily Beast, who had presented a case to Salas in 2015 challenging the military's male-only draft. I'm not standing in defense of him, but that is a good stance, because I don't understand why it's only males.
Yeah.
But it's unclear what his motive was in the shooting or who was the intended target. Hollander, coincidentally, was found dead by apparent suicide in upstate New York shortly after the attack. There was no evidence connecting Jeffrey Epstein to the attack at this time, but for many who suspect foul play related to the death of Epstein, the timing of the attack seems very highly suspicious. And yeah, I also read other details that was saying that he was dressed like a FedEx employee to kind of like, you know, make him seem approachable and stuff, and that was how he approached them. But I also heard that he shot the son and the husband in their car. So I don't know all of the details, and I'm assuming we'll be getting more, seeing as how this just happened. But just figured I'd give you guys that update because it literally just happened a couple of days ago, and it does relate to the Epstein stuff, at least in a way.
Yeah.
So yeah, who knows? We might have to give you guys some updates by the next episode. We'll see. Very interesting shit, and it's just, you know, this Epstein stuff is getting crazier by the minute, it seems like. And for it only having been in, like, you know, what, this happened last year, the Epstein stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy just how much stuff is happening with all of this. But I really hope that this Ghislaine Maxwell can fucking make something happen to all these other assholes who are involved with this stuff.
Yeah. I
hope she makes it to the trial at least, and then after that, like we said, we don't give two fucks what happens to her.
Yeah, I don't know. I really hope this shit just gets fucking squashed. I know, realistically, it's human trafficking and pedophilia, unfortunately, isn't going anywhere. we can't. And it's even one of those things that bug the fuck out of me, because even when someone like a pedophile is charged, laws surrounding that are very, very lax. I've read articles about some people that get charged and they only do like 3 months, or even just fucking get put on like probation. And it really just comes down to like not necessarily a conspiracy within like that government of whatever, whoever charged that person, but it really is just the laws themselves are so fucking flawed when it comes to that. Mostly just because we probably weren't expecting it to be this much of an issue.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's just one of those things where, like, you don't want to think about it. And I'm pretty sure, like, I don't know when these kind of laws were written or anything like that. Unfortunately, we didn't get that deep into research.
Yeah.
But, back then, there isn't as much publicizing about this kind of stuff now, because now, we got the World Wide Web, and we fucking will hear about anything. There's a fucking good chance, we can get an update on this story tonight after we're done recording.
Yeah.
And it really just comes down to the fact that we're so much more connected now. And back then they weren't. So whenever you heard about the monster down the street who, fucking picks up kids and blah, 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 like, it almost seemed like myth back then. And now, we're more exposed to that kind of shit just because we can't escape it. Eventually, if you're on the internet, you're eventually going to run into something like that, or some article that tells you about it. So,
well, and also here's the reason why I am fully in the belief of that there can be higher ups involved with this stuff, because this theory of pedophiles being within the higher rankings of society dates back for centuries.
Yeah.
It goes way, way back. Like, I mean, Roman times, and probably even before that. This stuff has been going on forever. So it's not unlikely that it's still going on now. And I mean, we're talking like, and back then, though, this is the only thing, is back then it was more normalized. It was normalized for Roman leaders and stuff like that to have sex with, sorry, this is going to be a little graphic, but have sex with little boys and stuff like that, and, have little boys perform fellatio on them and stuff like that. It was like almost completely normal. They almost saw it as just like one of the perks of being a high ruler. And it was like... hearing so much about what I've heard about that stuff, it seems like it was almost weird if you didn't partake in that kind of thing. And it's specifically with little boys, it's crazy. But yeah, so I can't not imagine that it's not happening now.
Some societies, I don't want to say societies, because I think it was like a tribe or something. I can't remember if it's current. I'm pretty sure it is. But it's basically, you aren't officially a man until... Okay, here's the premise. And sorry guys, but this is fucking rough, okay? So, if you are a boy in this specific tribe, I don't remember the details of it, I just know it's factual, please don't cite me on this. So, it's a ritual, and the fact of the matter is, they think that you can get someone else's manliness. You have to get that manliness transferred to you. And the way that they do this is your uncle would take you out in the woods, and if you're a boy, they would butt fuck you. Sorry, they would have sex with you, and they would have to, finish inside of you. And in their heads, they think that they're transferring their manliness, or the matureness over to you that way. And like I said, I'm pretty sure this is still happening. I really don't want to fucking look into it to give you updates.
I don't want to look
into
this.
But I know I've heard it, and I've read articles. I heard it on a podcast. And yeah, it's a real thing. I looked it up. It's been a while since I looked it up, but that was the gist of it, is that basically you have to have your uncle, have anal sex with you, and that's how they make you into a man, apparently. And that's really fucking weird sexual, ritual. But like Chris was saying, this kind of stuff is normalized in a lot of areas. And it wouldn't surprise me if it was normalized in a higher society, even in the U.S. And yeah, by the way, I know I very much said that I don't, go in on conspiracy theories and stuff like that. I've pretty much solidified that since episode 1. I don't believe a lot of this shit just because it gets sensationalized. And, but when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein, 100% believe that. I 100% believe that, higher ups in our government are in fact fucking involved in this. But I also believe that not everyone is involved with it. And the person at the DMV isn't involved with sex trafficking. Yeah. You can't shit on your whole fucking government just because a section of it is fucked up. With that being said, do I think that, there should be that in the government as well? No. The same thing with, just police reformation that we're trying to discuss nowadays is, just because, it's just a few bad apples, that doesn't excuse the whole government. Like the whole government should be responsible for taking action on this. But unfortunately, because of the higher ups kind of thing, they won't. So I do implore you to do your own research, make sure what you're accusing or whatever is factual, and do the research and fucking be a goddamn detective and look into it yourself.
Because don't jump to conclusions. Base your opinions off of evidence and not your emotional, attachments. Because a lot of this stuff, especially with all of this kind of like subject matter, it's easy to quickly jump on the bandwagon of every other conspiracy theorist, especially like with the Wayfair thing and stuff like that. Because I was totally on board too, until you look into the details and you're like, this doesn't add up.
Yeah, just do the footwork. Just make calls, do that kind of shit. Fuck, if you have the money, fucking get on a plane. You better hop over to some motherfuckers and, talk to some people. And even like within the area, like I don't know where Wayfair's headquarters is, but I'm pretty sure if you went to that area, like you might find something, find out where their warehouses are and stuff like that. It's not super hard to do that kind of research. Yeah, I don't know. But just if there's any takeaway that I'd like to give, my 2 cents, like I said, do your research. Don't just share something just because it has a fucking crazy ass headline.
Yeah.
And because that feeds into a whole bunch of other shit. And it ultimately leads to misinformation and making all of us dumber, which I don't want.
Yeah. But anyway, guys, that's going to wrap up today's episode of Tipplers 2 Cents. Thank you for toughing it out with us through such a difficult subject to tackle. I promise you the next one won't be so uncomfortable. If you did enjoy the episode, though, please leave us a review if you can, and help us by spreading the word to your family, friends, and coworkers. Let them know, we're available on pretty much every kind of streaming thing that you can think of. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Facebook. So, go ahead and check us out on there. I'd also like to give a thank you to, the people that are reaching out and giving us some updates, and as well as our new social media lead, Crystal Oropeza. So thank you very much.
Yeah, and if you want to support us further, you can visit our merch store at represent.com/store/tipplers2cents.com and pick up one of our shirts. And by the way, I just showed Chris the new shirt that I'm going to be posting. You guys are going to fucking love it. It's a shout out to the first episode we ever made, and it's Michael D. Swords. We had a joke about him, and it's pretty cool. It's going to be posted by Monday when this is released, and yeah, it's fucking funny. You can also show support by reaching out to us at tipplers2centspodcast@gmail.com and letting us know your thoughts. The feedback really lets us know how to improve the show and gives us an insight as to what our viewers are thinking. So please hit us up, and also follow us on Instagram because every Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, here and there, you can keep up with what we're doing and what the next episode is going to be. Because we don't like to say that, because we like to have the little mystery behind it. You never know what you're gonna get with us. So please follow us on Instagram as well.
Yeah. But anyway, guys, we'll catch you on the next episode. We promised to let you go on that one. Next episode, we're going to be talking about some technology stuff and, apocalypse by robots and all that sort of thing. So please stay tuned, and we will catch you next time. Farewell.
Bye.